one question I do have to ask about is hardware support. Like, how was it being handled in Xorg? And I guess how do you make sure that hardware is actually going to work with this thing?
Right, so Linux has a it has standard for that drivers use right now, the Linux DRM API, and then you have also the Mesa KVM to create the buffers, and modern hardware supports that. Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA. NVIDIA had issues with that before because they want to push EGL streams, so
Mhm.
that caused some issues in Wayland, as you know.
Mhm.
And but modern NVIDIA supports that. But there's also the issue that all the NVIDIA drivers, uh, which are tied to older NVIDIA GPUs as well, because they can't update to newer drivers, so they can't really use that. So
How
that's an
old are
issue.
we talking here?
Uh, I don't know exactly what it is, but I think it's the NVIDIA driver version is for is it 490 or 475?
Mhm.
Yeah, uh, it's earlier than 900 series at least. I think.
Latest supported CPU 490 would be uh last support 900, so like 800 series, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
So
Yeah,
relatively old
so
cards at this point.
yeah, exactly. There were some Wayland compositors that used EGL stream before, but I believe they all moved onto Mesa GBM.
Mhm.
But uh, I want to try to support those old NVIDIA GPUs as well, but I don't know if EGL streams works as expected since Wayland compositor just moved on. So I assume maybe there were some issues or not. I don't know. So I will have to try that.
Mhm.
But yeah, one of the main reasons that I can't support old NVIDIA GPUs is because they're tied to the X11, I mean Xor server, because they use the direct API that exposed from the Xor server. It's not part of the X11 protocol, and they are proprietary the drivers. So
Huh. Uh-huh.
yeah. So it just like isn't impossible. It's not possible to do that. If I instead I could support it if I like copy the Xor server code and then did that, but then it would be Xor server.
Right.
So
Right. And at what point does it like this is a problem that exists with what do you call it? The Red Hat's new NVIDIA driver, Nova, that's it. Um, if you're going to be building a new project, you have to pick a cutoff point for what you're going to support. And it sounds like you have a reasonable point where it gets considerably harder to make that hardware supported. So, unless you wanted to start doing, API reverse engineering to make that happen, or just copy the Xorg code. It seems like a logical stopping point to say, okay, we're going to support everything after that, which supports the new modern thing.
right. So yeah, I put that limitation not because like because I wanted to, but because it would be otherwise impossible to do it.
Right.
Uh, yeah, so on the AMD and Intel side, it works with much older hardware, so at least for that, it's good.
Mhm, mhm. So it, yeah, one of the nice things about things being open source, people can actually go and support things and fix things that they want to. Nvidia, we love Nvidia, great company. Like at least in recent years, they've been sort of coming around to doing things better, but it's Nvidia, right? Like there's only so much you can do if they were never going to support the hardware properly on Linux anyway.
Yeah.
So, wait, well, I forgot where I was going to go from there. So hardware support's not a concern. I guess we can talk about what are the actual goals of the project? Like, where do you, like, what do you want this to be?
Right. I just want to mention one more thing about
Okay,
hardware support.
go right ahead.
I will also be open to accepting pull requests to support all the hardware as a back, because in the Phoenix Pro it's abstract the implementation. So I have a backend interface, and there you can add more drivers and for input and graphic and stuff like that. So I will support also all the hardware if somebody wants me to, and they provide the code.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'm open to more implementations.
Right. So it's not a project. We won't do that. It's I have other things that are more important right now.
Yeah.
No, that
So
makes
what was
that makes
the
sense.
other question?
I was just saying, what are the goals, the overall goals of the project? Like long term, when things are in a good and useful, functional state, what do you want to actually do?
Right. So I want to. Well, first I want to be able to run it on my own system instead of Xorg server.
Mhm.
That's the main thing. And then after I make it work like an Xorg server, you can display your desktop environment and things like that.
Mhm.
I want to add support for all these nicer things like HDR and the making a bit more secure
Mhm.
or private. Can you say maybe
Mhm.
like having the not being able to listen to all keyboard inputs uh, and having a prompt when you try to record the screen and things like that. So, and those are the easier part actually to do.
Mhm.
Uh, so just when I think get everything else in place, then I can add that.
Mhm. Okay, I actually do want to. I do want to go into that because that is one of those things that I think in my video I said that you're sort of taking what has been learnt from the improvements in Wayland, but also learning from. I honestly, in many ways, I would call them failures of solutions. They came up with problems that existed, but the solutions they haven't. They've caused some issues under themselves. Right now, there are issues with unattended screen recording, for example. This is something that NVIDIA brought up in a recent talk. Then we have the issue of global shortcuts, which is a whole big mess with portals, which every desktop implements the front end differently for, and basically no application support because it requires a whole redesign of how they're handling shortcuts. And it's a whole big mess. The only one that I think it actually has it in a good state is KDE. Hyperland, you've got to like modify the config file to implement any shortcuts for an application. And GNOME, they don't even have the front end, I think is what said in that in the blog post. So I guess which one do you want to approach first? We can talk about HDR, or we can talk about the sort of better ways to handle these security problems.
Right. So actually, GNOME has support for that
Oh,
right
it has
now,
it now?
but
Okay.
yeah, but there were some issues when I used it at least.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there are issues in almost all of them. So
Mhm.
anyways, so yeah, let's talk about the security part.
Okay.
Like for example, global shortcuts. Like one easy thing you can just do is uh, like KD does. There's an option to allow X11 applications to get input if they press the modified keys. So for example, Control Shift and Alt and things like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that will pretty good prevent keyloggers because they won't get any. For example, if malicious software ran on the computer, it won't get really any important information then.
Mhm.
So that's just one easy solution you can have. You can do that in Xorg Server as well if you just modify it to do that simple thing. But then I also want to show I want to be able to show a prompt. For example, if an application wants to get global hotkeys, it will show a prompt to the users to accept it. So
Mm.
it just doesn't do that in the background. But also I want to change some other things, like I don't think the application will be able to listen to input without like grabbing it. So they can't just listen to it. They have to be like the owner of the keys that they get, because yeah, for example, like right now in X11 application, it can listen to the input, but then when you try to write in another application, yeah, it will just work, but the keylogger will be there silently. You won't even notice it. But if it had to grab the keys that it wants to listen to, it won't be able to grab all keys. It will only be able to grab the keys specifically that you want to hit input for. And also if you try to click on them, then you will see that it wouldn't write anything to the application that you're writing into.
Mm-hmm. So you want to make it so that, if I'm understanding correctly, that applications will request the keys they want to listen to, but they can't. If they do that, then they can't just take everything. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because right now in Xorg, you can just write a Python script that says listen to keyboard and then just log everything.
Right. Yeah, and showing the prompt is a nice part of that. But prompts are maybe not always useful, because often people just click accept. They don't really
on Windows, you have like admin prompts that appear, and people just like, oh, something wants to run, click it. Whatever happens, who cares?
Yeah, so yeah, that's one reason, because of Windows, a lot of those prompts show up, and they're not really useful information in them. So people always click next. They don't read, and I blame Windows for that. So maybe if it wasn't because of Windows, then maybe people would read it a little bit more. So.
Mm-hmm. So do you have some ideas on how you would present that, or right now is it just more of a matter of I want to get it in a state where I can do this, and then I'll think about how to properly present it later?
I have thought about that. So one thing is that you have to make the prompt like not every application should be able to handle the prompts. So you need a special way to do that. So one thing I thought about is when you run the Phoenix, you can pass an application, and then it will run the application, and then it will have a secure communication between them. So then, for example, you have a desktop environment, you'll be able to run another application that handles the prompts for that. So every desktop environment will be able to have its own prompt. For example, if you want to display it in a way that fits the desktop environment. Yeah, and that will handle it. So it will be a communication between that application and the Phoenix.
So let's say I'm running I'm a developer of an application that has global shortcuts. With the idea you're suggesting here, would that developer need to do anything on their end, or would the global shortcut solution you have in Phoenix just work regardless of what the individual developer does?
It will just work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one reason why like the push to Wayland, although some people maybe say it was because of security and things like that, that's really not the reason why people push to Wayland.